Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here, and today I am doing kind of a work in progress video to show you where I'm at with my friendship journals. This is going to be a very long process. I don't know how much I can show you as I go along. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I just thought I'd kind of show you what I've gathered together for papers and what's going in the book so far. This one is already done. I'm just going to tuck it in here, and the book is still loose. This is one of the signatures that will go in this book, and I'm going to show you how I picked papers. Now, both signatures have sort of a cover, which is what this one is here. This was the cardstock scrapbook paper that I cut down to 8.5 by 11, and I've got this doily on the outside because I think this is going to somehow be part of the method of opening the signature. You know, when they're in the book, the front cover of each signature does take a little bit more wear and tear, so I thought adding this doily on top. That's my dog Highway. He loves to bark in my videos. But I thought adding this doily on top of the signature cover would give it a little bit more strength. There's still going to be some building around here. I don't know at this point what yet, but this was something that I thought for sure I'd like to have. Now, if I were to just use the doily itself, then I would definitely have to glue it completely down. But I kind of thought it might be a nice little added tuck spot. So I think what I'll do is probably glue another piece of paper underneath it and then stitch it down along the side here. So it gives it the strength, but still has the purpose of tucking. And the reason for that is on this side, again, I have the doily here, so I can still use it as a tuck spot on this side. So this may just get partially stitched down with the paper or something underneath it. Like sort of even like a book page underneath would just trim down to match the doily, of course. Might look nice just peeking out from behind and still allow you to use it as a tuck spot. So that's where I was at with that one. And so this is the second signature. So this is the second cover. Now this one had a little bit of writing on the bottom of the paper, so I'm going to be conscious to cover that up. And it was a wider paper, so I folded the two sides in to make some nice tuck spots on this one. But again, the doily seems to look so nice, so I think I'll just fold it in half. And now this one may just be glued down because I already have a tuck there. But we'll play around and see. I'll show you together. You can see this. All right, so again, yeah, it might look nice with something inside that you can tuck something into it and yet still have this nice round flat piece as a method of opening the signature cover and protecting the page itself. Now I could also add a tab on here and a little bit of a cluster. So there are lots of possibilities if I do use it in that method. But to just use it as a tuck the way it is, all these little bits and pieces would get very tattered looking and may even rip or tear. So I think I would have to glue it down to something. So we'll see. So then when you would open it up, of course, I would have that doily on that side. This would be the back page, so it wouldn't take as much stress as this one would from opening it all the time. So that's the plan there, and you can see I'm making them pretty much the same. Now the signature, each signature with the cover has 12 pieces of paper, and I've got them already pre-folded, the ones that I've chosen. And I'll just gather them here together first. These are some other bits and pieces. And I've chosen a combination of tea-dyed, and this is a certificate page. I have a whole box of these. This was a digital printout from Lorna Taylor's digital, I think they're French fabric sample book pages. A butterfly that I had printed out, blank on the other side. This floral print, which has a little bit of a purpley tinge to it, but I can tone that down a bit. Some coffee dyed paper that I had also dyed with a little bit of blue on top, and then a blue dyed paper. Brown paper bag I'm using. I've got some music sheet here that I have pre-printed some flowers onto it. It's blank on the inside, but I printed on the back of that one. So I printed 2 images at the same time on the sheet. The sheets were cut down to 8.5 by 11 from a much larger sheet, and just printed the two items at the same time on the page. I don't know if you remember the page I had that had stamps on it. And I wasn't really fond of the stamp. They're like around the world stamps that were collaged on this printed page. And I wasn't really fond of it, so I printed over top of it with this floral. I kind of went with florals and yellows and blues to add into the book. And so then I printed on the inside of it with a light blue, just because that's part of the color scheme, and I didn't want it to be plain white inside. So that was where I printed. And then this was a printed page as well with these, I think they're kind of seashell pieces on this. It's kind of a very sandy colored paper. And so on the inside, I just printed some decorative imagery to cover up the white, and then trimmed it down. My printer doesn't print right to the edge, so I have to trim down a little bit on the pages. So those are my pages, and then I have these envelopes and this paper bag that I was planning to use as well. And my method has always been to kind of use a plain paper and then switch it out for a printed page. And so I'll just walk through how I did this one and do this one the same, only because it's nice and easy to do. So because this side of the page is blank, I figured I'll use one of the printed music sheets. And so when you open this cover up, the first thing you will see is the printed music sheet. And if you look, I've complemented the blue and yellow flowers with, this is the gold in here and the blue, and there is gold in that cover paper, as well as a little bit of green. So I just kind of used that as an example. Now where you see this white on this page, now I've got a cat meowing. By the way, I have 4 cats. So where you see the white on this page, I will cover this up or stain it or do something before I glue down my tucks, and so you won't see that white. But there is going to be the first page that I use inside this cover, and so I'm just going to open that up. And that is what I did with this one. I used the music sheet as the first inside the cover. So then I have this large envelope. And some of the envelopes have this window, so I'm incorporating the window in it. But this one was very plain, so I've decided to just make a small piece on the one side. And if you look at the other side, I have a larger window. Now it is larger than the paper, so I probably will trim it down and then close it off. Or if it doesn't feel too thick when I'm working on these, I may put another folded flap in here, but I'm most likely going to trim it down. I think that's probably better. I don't want to have too much bulk in here because there's going to be lots of things added in. So the envelope will, of course, be opened up somewhere, and either I'll use it to put a journal card in or a tag, depending on how I decide to open it. Still undecided at that point, but that's going to be my next piece on here. I don't necessarily like them to be exactly the same, and so because this one is a window, whereas this one wasn't, it's just a plain envelope, just a larger size. So I'm just going to fold this one in half. because I think, oh no, I can't quite fold it in half because of the window. Okay, so I will fold it about a 1/2 inch past the window. And there again, I may have to trim it down in order for it to fit nicely within the pages. Now, as you add pages into your signature, at first they fit nicely, but when you're adding more inside and inside, they start to peek out a little bit, which is how this one is starting to look. If you can see, all the pages are sticking out. I will trim them down as I go along, because once I start working on the pages, then I will take one page out at a time, work on it from both sides. Not always that I do a mirror image, but I do like to, on occasion, do a mirror image on each side. But then I can say that the page is finished and ready to go in the book. So then as I get to like this brown paper bag, I will trim it back a little bit. It's not to say that I won't have stuff sticking out if I put lace trims or tabs or anything like that. But just to have it sit nicely within the cover, just so that the paper itself doesn't get too much abuse. So these will all get trimmed down as we go along. So now that I've got this envelope folded and ready to go in there, next I put this brown paper bag. So I'm just going to fish out I kind of made them the same, although my other book had a couple of different pages in it. So that's the next page there. And then again, I went from just plain paper to a printed sheet. So I'm going to use the same printed sheet. It just worked out that way. It's blank on the inside. And now you see I have this window envelope. And I chose 2 window envelopes only in 2 different colors, only because it was easy to remind me where I was at in the book and what I was doing. It is no rhyme or reason. You could choose 2 the same. This one has a double envelope or a double window, which is kind of cool. But I just did it because it just made it easy for me to match things up on the other side. So with the envelope, I'm only using the front for the window. And so I'm just going to trim this down with you here. And like I said, I don't know how much of this you want to watch me do. I don't know that I want to actually physically sit here and create, because I think that might be a little bit boring. But so what I've done is I've separated the back of the envelope from the front, and this is the one that I'm going to put in the next spot. Now what I'll do with this window is I will decorate the whole thing and probably have a little bit of a flap that goes around to glue it down to the page. And because it's much taller and this will be already decorated, I will probably cut it down to about there or so to show, to have the pocket or a tuck. I haven't decided at this point. But this piece that's ready to go, excuse me, will be already decorated and can either be further enhanced and embellished with some fabrics or a cluster or something, and then be a little tuck spot somewhere else in the book. But for now, it's just going to live here until I finish it and then cut off the piece, and then that will go into extra stuff. At the end, when I'm done the books, I've already mentioned in other videos that like all the fabric scraps will get made into a big snippet roll. Or used up in clusters and get finished off. And if I decide to not use this pocket, when I'm done the books, I may put together a little extra package for the recipient of the book, that they can, pick and choose what they want to add in themselves. Or I may just sell it off as a de-stash lot on my website, which I quite often do, is I'll make it all up and it's done, and then I sell it all off. So I don't know at this point what this piece will be, but it's just there waiting to be decorated. So now I have this dark blue folded page, and this is where the pocket is going to go, because there's a lot going on this page already, this printed doily. So it's not like I'm going to use this, or that someone is going to use this so much as a journaling spot. So I figured it's nice to have the decoration, but then I need the page to be a little bit more functional. So I'm putting the pocket on this side, leaving this side more blank for journaling. Not to say that it won't be decorated in some way. That's further down the road. But this way, the pocket is here. You can still see the decoration behind. I don't have to decorate behind, which is nice. And then you know that it's a decorated page. This may have some lace trim on it. It may have some finishing on it, or a tab. But the focus here will be on something that I put inside the pocket. So I hope this isn't too boring for you. Now on this page here, there was a bit of a dark spot on the page. So I know right away this is going to have some trim on it. But that's going into this book. The same thing with this one. It will have the window pocket on here. I may put it more towards the edge so you can still write on the corner, like on the this side of it. I'm not sure yet. It is blank, but it's also blue. So because it's plain on the inside, this is where I might put a decoration first before I glue down the pocket. And then the same thing, the top part will be for a journal card or a pocket or something added extra afterwards. So that's where I'm at there. And then this was that printed page. Again, it was the stamps. I printed yellow on the back side, and this is kind of a gray, sort of a grayish, there's a little bit of blue to it. You may not notice it so much on here, but it is a little bit more gray blue at the background here. But this is the one that had the stamps on it that I wasn't really fussy on. You can still see the stamps in the background, but it's much nicer with the flowers on top. So that was the inside of this one. So I've got that page printed to the same stamp page here, except this one is yellow. I see that I didn't trim so nicely along the edge there. I'll have to go back and touch that up, or maybe ink it up so it's not so noticeable. This one is printed gold on the inside, and this one is printed with the polka dot blue on the inside. So the next thing I have is this brown paper bag, and I have lots of these. So I'm just going to fold this in half. And that will be my next page, whether I use this for a journal card or a tag. I don't know if I'll open up this on the edge here or on the top. Again, it'll just be as it goes along. But that will be the next thing added into the book. And the reason I did that is, if I have it in the middle with this certificate page, it just nicely covers that spot. So you can almost have like this little hidden spot until you turn the page, of course. But it's just a nice way to cover up when somebody's writing in there and finish off. Just gives it a nice finished look. So I have to find that certificate page. Now, I don't always make my books the same, but when I'm doing mass production like this, where I'm doing 2 books at the same time, it just makes it easier and faster to come up with your method and then do them all the same afterwards. So the signatures are the same, but they will be, of course, decorated differently. The printing is different on some of the pages, and the decorations will be different. I may do a tab on one page in this signature, but the same page in the other signature might have a cluster. So it all depends on what I'm working on at the time. But it does make it easier to do 2 at once. So once I have the certificate page in, I have a blank side there. So again, I'm going with a printed page, and I had done 2 different butterflies for this. The butterflies are kind of a watercolor print on a I think that this is watercolor paper. So it looks like a real watercolor print, but it is a digital. And now that is also blank on the inside. So I'm just going to turn that over there. And here I put the blue page, the blue coffee stain page. So I'm going to do the same here. It is blank to blank, But, you know, I have other things I'm going to be adding in, things like fabric flips, or I may have an envelope wrapped around here, or a tag wrapped around here and clipped, something that can be taken in and out. I like to have a lot of blank writing space for the person who receives my journal, because the whole point is to use them. And so I really like to encourage that. But it's not to say that there won't be something on these pages that will complement and allow you to still write on them, but you can either flip it up or move it over. I'm not a huge person to add flip out things, because I think after time, for myself, I find that they get too worn, or they start to come apart away from the journal. And I think it's just as easy to tuck something into a journal like this and clip it with a paper clip, and then it can be removed and not interfere each time with opening and taking away from the page. But that is my personal preference. And the people who do make those flip out things, they do such a beautiful job of them. But I've just found that for myself in journaling, because I do journal and I do use my journals, that I find that they're more subject to stress, and so I don't use them, usually put them in myself. I like to just add things on. This way it can be taken out as the book expands. My personal preference. So here on this page is where I have the other half of that envelope. And because I've already cut it and I know it's there, I'm going to put that in there. This may be used as a belly band. You know, I'm going to decorate it, and I may use it as a belly band and chop it down, or make it into two and use one somewhere else, or make the second one into a bookmark and again tuck it somewhere else, or turn it the other direction. But right now it's just, I know it's going to be on this page, and it's going to be decorated and used in some way. If you watch Rachel from Roxy's Creations, she does a really pretty tuck spot with this side of the envelope. Do watch her channel. I'll try to remember to link her below. She does a really cute tuck spot, and she trims this envelope back as well as cuts it down to fit the page better. And just a great way to tuck things into your page. It's so cute that I'm probably going to use that in these books. So the next page I have here is that seashell style of page. It's like yeah, I don't know, I think it's a seashell. And so again, I'm using the same page and adding that into the book. This one is decorated a little differently. I just printed out two different items on the page. There is some white up here, and my plan is for this one that it will be decorated in some way, whether I add some lace trim or go back and collage over top here, or maybe make a tuck spot where you can tuck something underneath. Because they're printed pages, again, these are the ones that I use to clip onto or to add other elements into the page, whether it be pockets or tuck spots, so that it doesn't take away from the writing side, because on this side you can write, but you still have this decorative look to it, which is enhances the journal. The printings were kind of meant to be sort of bluish and yellow, but not getting too wrapped up in matchy thing. So I just made it sort of similar, and plus, you know, the bohemian designs kind of lend to this type of patterning within the book. So I just thought it was a nice element to add. So that is future decorating. I started out folding this sheet down, or this piece down, to glue, but I think I'm going to open it up again and just trim it back. I don't think I really like the idea of gluing it down. It just doesn't appeal to me. So I think I'll just trim it back here. I hope you can see that, and finish off one way or another. So the next thing I have in this particular signature is a piece of tea-stained paper. And so I've got that here in my book to add in. And I'll just open that up. And then the next one I have is one more of Lorna Taylor's printed documents. These were all for doing fabric swatches and samples, kind of a salesman's book or a tailor's book. And so, isn't that fitting, a tailor, and it's Lorna Taylor. So I'm going to add some fabric scraps on here that are part of the journal itself, part of the friendship fabric that we are using. And so that will be a nice little decorative piece to add on top. And then on the inside of it, it will be a folded pocket. So I'm just going to add this one in. This is nice that it finishes as a smaller piece with some extra goodies on the inside, something that I like to do. And I will probably collage or decorate over top of this, maybe with some ink stamping or little spot decorations. I have printed out a lot of different flowers and, of course, butterflies and birds to enhance the pages. And there may be some things like some labels. Like this one is quite plain on this side, so maybe a label and some fabric swatches to go with it. So there's some possibilities there. And so then as we turn, you can see that the pages will be the same in both books or both signatures. And then it comes to this white envelope, which I've got right here. And again, I'm just going to trim it down. I had to save some stuff for you guys when you got here so that I can show you my methods and madness, as I like to call it. When we get envelopes, I normally like to just, when I get an envelope, I normally just get everything that's inside down to the bottom, and then I just trim along the top edge so that I can make the decision how to cut it afterwards. So this one, I'm using the back flap, knowing that it's going to be either a belly band or a tuck spot, and it's going to go on one of these pages. So that's where I'm going to leave that for now. And if you go on to this side, the mirror image is here as well as here. And this is why I did the two colored envelopes, not because it means anything different. They're all going to get covered, but at this stage it just helps me to remember what it is I'm doing and where things go. And then here's the back side of the blue page, blue and coffee dyed. And then the back side of the butterfly. It's such pretty paper, isn't it? It's very pretty digital. And then the back of the certificate paper that I used. And again, there's the other part of the bag to show you that there will be a tuck spot, something in here. I've already opened this one up. I don't think this one is opened yet, so I'll just quickly do that. I think that they're just the nice, perfect size to add a journal card in. When you're making journal cards and they're a little bit bigger, they fit nicely in there, and it kind of makes the pages a little bit more balanced. When you have things coming from the top, then it has a tendency to slide if they're not made to fit. So I think that's where I'm going to use this as a journal pocket. Now, because it's a paper bag, I may go back and reinforce with some decorating or wrap sort of a, something like this around the top, not necessarily a doily, but something around the edge of this so that it again absorbs some of the stress from people going in and out of the bag. In this case, I would do both sides because it is quite flimsy, and so this will allow extra protection to protect the bag from tearing. And so then you have the colored page again. I love this distressed polka dot. To me, it's just perfect for there. And then the contrast is something I enjoy too. I like the element of surprise when you're not expecting to go from the blue to the yellow, or same with here from the yellow to the gray, and then blue again. It just gives you the element of surprise, and it allows you to change things up. Sometimes when I'm doing a book and I'm working in themes of, you know, maybe sort of greens and browns and oranges, I love to totally throw people by adding something blue all of a sudden, where you turn the page and it's a bright blue. Only because it just, again, it's the element of surprise and the contrast, and it, you know, it makes people sit there and question. So it's lots of fun to mix it up. So don't be afraid to totally, when you're doing your journals, to totally change it right in the middle and add something purple or bright yellow if you're working in darker shades. So just have some fun with it when you're doing your own pages. Now this blue page, again, there are so many possibilities for decorating. This could also have a pocket, and I'm just winging this right now as we go along. So I could go back and add some of this shimmery blue lace on here, and it's still airy enough. You can still journal on here, but it's an additional pocket. It all depends, again, on how fat these journals end up being. You know, they start out feeling pretty thin, but by the time you start decorating and filling the pockets, it's amazing how chunky they end up getting. So blue paper again on the other side. This is a little bit darker. This is where I have that other half of the white envelope, so it's probably going to go along that page because this is too dark to write on, but gives a nice contrast to the cream color. So that's where I'm going to tuck this. Now this one will have a double envelope, and again, depending on what I use this for, I will just trim it down. And you know, it could end up being a little tuck spot on this side with a little bit of round cornering, and or cutting in a diagonal or folding it in half. So lots of possibilities for a tuck spot here. That could be a little flap that opens up that adds more interest and secret writing spaces. So that's, again, as I'm working on this, it'll be something that I come up with. So then this is the back side of the floral page that has the little bit of, it's kind of a mauvey purple. Sort of like a periwinkle, I guess, is more the color. And then the brown paper bag. There's the other half of that very large envelope that I used. Now this one has a window, this one doesn't, and they will get trimmed down to fit the book better. The music page, again, I could see it's not something that I'm writing on. And I mean, you could write along the margins. Some people do that. And it's pretty plain, pretty basic. So it'll all depend on what I put on the white envelope as to how I feel about decorating the inside of this, just as it is on the same side here. It could have things wrapped around it, you know, meant to hold an envelope where it's clipped in. So it depends on where I'm at when I get to that point in the book. I may just further decorate it. I may use a belly band in here or a page flip. I could also add a notebook by stapling several pages onto here. So it all depends on where we're at when we're done. So that takes us to the back page. Both of these have a nice yellow rose and with a little bit of blue introduced here. This one, of course, is going to have the tuck spot. And this one will be a plain, but again, it could end up having a pocket in it as well. Same with the outsides. I don't know at this point. I just have the doily on the front of each of these so far. And but that's the 2 signatures going in this book. And the next steps are to decorate the pages and get them ready to put stuff into them. The stitching won't happen until much later when all of the pages are decorated. Then I will stitch them into the journal itself. You can see I have the pockets here to add stuff into it. On the front pocket, I usually add the artist information, and I do a little write-up about junk journals and my method, and bohemian journals and my method of how I do them, and what I'm trying to achieve, and how I would like to see the journal used, and that kind of thing. Everybody is different what they write in the books. There are some standard handwritten artist information sheets that several YouTubers hand out or give out for free for people to use. So if you can always follow one of those and then add extra information in. I haven't bothered to print mine out or to make it available to anybody, but I certainly can if somebody is interested in using some of my words, because sometimes the words are similar or the same, and you just have to enhance it with things that you want to add. So if somebody is looking for that information to have it handy to print out, I can certainly give it to you. So that's where I'm at with this journal so far, and I've done exactly the same to the other one, and I have started to do a few bits and pieces of ephemera. I do expect, and you can probably tell already, that each of these books will have anywhere from 50 to about 75 pieces of ephemera in the book. So I'm looking at 200 or 100 to 150 pieces for both books. The other one is right here. And I kind of showed you the photos last time. This one I've already started marking down some of the things that I want to add in here. So there's just a few little notes and stuff to remind myself what it is I want to do. There will be more notes, and it's a long process. I thought maybe I would be finished these much sooner, but they are taking a while to do. So, and it is summertime, and you have seen that I am missing in action. So the fact that I got this much done is pretty cool. But yeah, there is a lot that I will be doing to this. I don't know how much of this you want to actually watch me do, or when I can show you the next progress, other than to say that I could show you the next progress when these are done and ready to stitch in the book or stitched into the book. So I would love to hear your comments below if you have a chance to comment and let me know what you're thinking about this and where I should take it next as far as showing you what I'm doing. I will show you some process of my ephemera making if there's something that I think, oh, well, I can show you that. That's interesting. But, we all make tags. We all make journal cards. There are a million videos on how to do them. Mine are not much different, and I have shown different things in some of the other tutorials that I offer. But if there is something in particular that you do want to see or watch me make, or something, we can make them together, please, again, let me know in the comments. But for the most part, if I don't think it's that interesting, I'm just going to do it, and then I can explain it and show it to you after. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it inspires you to start working on a journal of your own. And you can see I have quite the process here to finish these two journals. I will tell you that I am very fortunate that I have customers that have been with me for a long time. And as soon as I finished the covers, I got a message, and somebody has already purchased one. At this point, we don't know which one, but they've already purchased one. And so there will only be one available for sale sometime later on. But again, I don't know when it'll be ready. You'll watch with me. You'll find out with me. But this is the process that I'm at right now. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you will continue to watch and to subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to seeing all of you very soon. Have a very creative week and creative day today. And I will see you soon. Bye for now.